been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one, welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me, as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th. And there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said
no evidentiary value?
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No.
Why?
Because the investigation remains ongoing.
I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi Dad, I know this has been a family, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can wear the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday with all decent clothes? Mom!
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
Excuse me. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do apologize. I have been sick for the past few days, trying to recover from a cold and some stomach issues, but feeling a little better today. But we got lots to go over. We're going to have a members live after this show. It will be a big one. I will kind of give you a little sneak peek when we get to that part. We did get the data back from the GPR scans, so we're going to go over that with the members. Now, I don't want to get people excited, but there is something interesting in the data. Again, if I were to say if it was anything, versus when it comes to maybe if it was related to Sebastian, it would be more likely some kind of evidence versus a body. Just so you guys understand, so we don't get people getting all excited saying, oh, there's two anomalies they found and it could be Sebastian. If anything, it would be maybe some kind of evidence, but again, we don't know, and but there is something, weird, but it could be just a rock or something, but we will go over that, and I will show kind of one image that we got from the GPR for you guys, and then for the members, we'll go over that in about an hour from now. I'll try to kind of keep this live a little bit shorter so we have plenty of time to go over, because it is interesting for sure. Again, don't want to get people excited. It could be nothing, but when you guys kind of see the data, and if we have, if we're lucky enough, we may have our expert come in the members live, and maybe kind of she's an expert in that field, and she can kind of explain some of the things that we're looking at with those images. So anyway, but again, don't know what it is, and there'll be further steps taken in that regards, of course. But this is still early days when it comes to the results from the GPR scan. So, but I will show an image for you guys here in just a minute. I got it loaded up here. So give me a second. Trying to think what to start first here. If you can, hit that like button. I do want to address, some of the receipts because obviously we still have money left over. We did send the tip over to the dog handler, so I'm going to show that here in a second. So we can get that out of the way, and then maybe talk about future investments or whatever with the money as well, what we have left over. Yeah, I've had, that's funny you mentioned that. There's something I'm kind of curious about as well. I was just thinking about, not to get sidetracked, but because you brought that up, I'm curious, does anybody know, and I guess I could just go look up the Texas Roadhouse, but I know BMW and Hindsight are in here, looked at that footage. Does he wear normally white socks or black socks? I'm just curious because, obviously he didn't have his shoes. If he was walking around with, say, white socks and the first two cameras, the one facing the front of the home and the one facing the back of the home, which basically almost covers the home 360 with just those two cameras, both of those are in nighttime mode. So anything white that he would have on would definitely stick out. And I was just thinking about that like the other day and kind of wondering what, I don't know if you can tell the color of his socks in the Texas Roadhouse. I know I could probably just pull it up and look, but I don't know if you guys know off the bat. It'd be kind of interesting. But if they were white, and especially if he had all white, it'd be very reflective. Yeah, anything white in nighttime mode because it picks up black and white. And I could show you, some nighttime mode images. But yeah, obviously if it's white, it's gonna be like a like a Christmas light. White. People are saying white. Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. Just another argument to say, did he really walk out, barefoot or with socks? Because if he wore socks and they were white, that's just another, along with the white stripes he allegedly had on his, some kind of like Adidas sweatpants or whatever. Both of those would, again, light up like a Christmas tree if he's walking around in front of any of the nighttime mode cameras. Some people are saying white. Maybe we get a chance. I'll take a look. Some people are saying white Texas Roadhouse. Yeah, because it seemed like you could kind of see his shoes fairly well. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Let me play this, and I'll see if I can pull up something here. You know what? Let's do. While I do that. Oh, shoot. Let's see. Oh my gosh. What do you know? Ooh. I see white. I see white. Oh my god, that's... Hold on.
Sebastian Rogers was last...
Oh, they're white. Oh, they're definitely white. Interesting. Let's see. At night. White socks. Give me a second. Yeah, those are white socks. Interesting. Well, that's just another argument that if he's walking around with socks that night, any camera that was nighttime mode, that would pick up quite well. For those that understand, nighttime mode cameras, again, they're kind of not thermal imaging, but they got that black and white tone to them, and that's the colors that they're focused on picking up. And so if you're wearing white in the middle of the night across those cameras, it's going to pick up much better than other colors. So again, just another argument. I don't think he walked out. Yeah, like a reflector. Yeah, it would be. Interesting. That's so funny. I forgot that I had this clip at the beginning. All right. Just trying to think what to do first. Let me play a recap of what's going on, just for anybody that's not been with us lately. This is just a 3-minute recap of what's been going on at the cemetery and everything. Then we'll talk about the GPR a little bit, and then we'll kind of explain why we were looking at that area. And there's 2 reasons why I'm kind of saving, the images, results, and all that for the members. 1, to have something for the members. 2, kind of get into a sensitive subject, talking about graves and stuff. And so, yeah. So let me play this full screen real quick, and then I'll be right back. But yeah, I'm feeling better. Just had a rough weekend, sadly. But yeah, I think in a day or 2 I'd be 100%. So I appreciate that. But yeah, lots to go over. And again, I apologize, not everybody's a member, but it will be exciting members live. But I will give you guys a little sneak peek, and I'll show you one of the images that we have of it, just so you guys get an idea of what it looks like, for those that are curious. So, all right, I'll play this real quick. We'll be right back. This is just a little recap on what's been going on.
Physically seen on camera leaving the Texas Roadhouse with his mother Katie Proudfoot on Feb 25th. Whether he actually made it home that night is highly debated, but what I have recently discovered on surveillance from a nearby camera in Rogers' neighborhood could hold the answers to what may have happened to Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers' home is located here. The surveillance camera that captured the suspicious activity is located approximately here, with 2 cameras pointed towards the east, overlooking the construction site and further. The suspicious activity seen on these cameras took place here at this cemetery and also school. Just after this suspicious light illuminates for approximately 6 minutes, a little before 3:30 a.m., at 3:32, a headlight of a vehicle can be seen moving south in the cemetery. This would not be the only vehicle seen that night. Another vehicle is seen at 3:45, and just 4 minutes later, another headlight is seen at 3:49. Although there is 2 cameras that overlook the entrance to the church and cemetery, as of now, there is no sign of these vehicles seen, entering or exiting, the only main entrance to the south. On the night Sebastian Rogers disappeared, the suspicious light can be seen again at around 3:40 a.m. It is illuminated for around 6 minutes, just like on the 25th. Then after it's done being illuminated, minutes later, multiple vehicles can be seen, driving in the cemetery and at the school. Once again, more suspicious activity the night Rogers went missing. So what is the object that is being illuminated for around 6 minutes on the 25th and 26th, and how could it be connected to Sebastian Rogers' disappearance? Here is a daytime shot from the surveillance camera where you can see the construction site. It is also overlaid with the nighttime shot of the suspicious light source. You can see how the suspicious light is just beyond the construction site in the cemetery. As Silver's on the scene, drives through the cemetery, you can see that the construction site is to his left. As he continues north, he is now in the middle of the cemetery, approaching a loop. As he turns right, you will notice what they call lumbree. This object is made out of highly reflective material, like concrete, granite, and marble. This memorial also sits at a slight tilt when viewing from the east, just like the object seen in the surveillance footage. Notice both objects are rectangular in shape. As you can see here, this memorial has no artificial lighting, not in the front or the back, so whatever caused this to be illuminated at 3 a.m. on the 25th and 26th had to have come from another light source, but what? The obvious answer would be headlights from a vehicle, but what we discovered about this answer would prove to be quite disturbing and shocking.
Okay, so that's just a little recap of what's been going on if you haven't tuned in for the last month and a half or so. But obviously, a lot of activity going on at the cemetery that is. Let me pull this up here. Da-da-da. Obviously, seen in the video. Sebastian's home here. We got cameras kind of back here overlooking the construction zone, and there is just a lot of activity going on the 25th, the night before he went missing, and the 26th, the morning of when Sebastian Rogers allegedly went missing. So we obviously went out there with GPR and stuff, and I'll kind of get into some of the reasons why we were so interested in that for anybody that's missed this. So let me catch up real quick. I'm just going to let this play for a second while I get to the memberships. Jocelyn, thank you so much for gifting a Mob Crew membership. As always, thank you to you and all the mods for the wonderful support. You guys are amazing. We got Pammy Bear sending 5 Mob Crew memberships. That is so awesome. It's just random for anybody that doesn't know when people gifted. That way, you know, it's not like people are picking their favorites or whatever. It's just random. But if you do get gifted, if you could thank that person. And thank you so much, Pammy Bear, for the 5 gifted. That is so awesome. God bless you. And we have Alicia with almost coming up on a year now, 10 months. Whoop, whoop, she says. I thank you so much for Alicia, for your support. Because we need a snarky emote. You're doing great work. That would be fun to do. Member for 8 months. I appreciate that, Shadow. I think that is a great idea, and I think I'll write that down. We'll kind of put that on the list. Bliss says, "Hope you're feeling better, Chris. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Bliss. Also on the verge of 1 year. That is so awesome to have so much support. I really appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much it means, especially how much time is spent behind the scenes that people don't see of me going through this footage over and over and over and over and over again. And there's still so much, I don't want to say much more, but there's still more stuff in this footage. I've told you guys, I mean, I've been saying it for nearly a month. And, you know, as weeks go on, you know, I can eventually explain certain things. But there is more stuff in there. I just have to kind of figure out, you know, is it something? If it is, you know, where is it approximately? But until that time, I don't want to just say, oh, hey, look at this. And, you know, I'd rather have at least some kind of explanation for what we're looking at. So why we did the ground search, ground penetrating radar, and the canine cadaver dog search, for anybody that's not up to date, is especially with what we saw on the 25th. I mean, there's activity on the 25th and the 26th, but what's so interesting about the 25th is, as you see here, this area, we have the columbrium that's lit up, but it's the headlights and where they're at, and using kind of where everything is at, right? We've kind of gone over this in other lives, and maybe in the future I've been meaning to kind of make like an outline behind here to kind of show you guys, like, this is the stadium back here, this is the left side bleachers, this is kind of where the right side bleachers would be. But But this area here, which we only see activity on the 25th, even though we still see activity on the 26th, it is so odd the way these cars, especially with the one where it looks like two headlights facing us in an area that should be going north and south on that particular road, but yet, and this is the road, as you can see, and it is like they were coming out of the gravesite. So we kind of, obviously with a lot more data than just what I'm going over, we thought that it's possible that they could have possibly put Sebastian in a recent grave. A person was recently buried before he went missing. And it just happens to be the area where these vehicles are at is in the general area of that particular grave site where that person was recently buried. So we were definitely concerned that maybe they could have put him down in there, got the, as the grave site was still fresh, the soil obviously just barely been poured. And sometimes those grave sites, I've gone over it in a future or previous live, where they sometimes kind of put like straw and stuff on top. They don't have the sod yet down. So you could easily just kind of remove that and you would just have fresh turned soil, and you could, pull out certain amount of soil, and then you could put either a body or you could put evidence in there, right? Either one, and then cover it back up and none be the wiser. And again, we had experts look at this footage, not only me, not saying I'm an expert, but we had a lighting expert, at least more or less two different engineers, I could more or less say, backgrounds, that looked at this footage with everything that I presented to them. And so that's obviously what warranted us to go out there. And with that, we had the GPR team come out along with a canine cadaver dog to go over, obviously with the GPR team, they went over the grave. We had permission, of course. And we went over that. Now they told us afterwards, they initially told us they just saw the vaults and didn't see any anomalies. And of course, yes, they are experts in their field. But the data, they said that would take, like the images would take a few days to come back. And so I think I got them probably Thursday or Friday, but, because I've been sick, I just have not had a chance to kind of fully go over them. And then, of course, we have our own expert, Caroline, who is works in this kind of field, especially with cemeteries, and she is giving a kind of a second opinion as far as what she sees in the data. And there is, again, if you missed it earlier, there appears to be one or two anomalies. I'll show you guys here in just a minute. Now, again, if it was anything Sebastian related, it would be more likely evidence versus a body. But again, we still don't know. But I just want to say that so people don't go run off and say, oh, there's a body in there, because and there's anomalies and they think it's a body. But here is one of the images. Let me put this down here. So as you can see, at the top, this is the kind of the width, right, of stuff. And then on the left, these numbers are feet. This is the depth. So 4 feet, number 4, that's 4 feet. And as you can see, the U, it's like an upside down U. They call it a hyperbola. I probably butchered that. But that's the vault. So that's normal, what we see here. Now this one particular, because they're going a different direction, they obviously went they went horizontal then vertically. If that makes sense. Actually, no, that probably wouldn't make sense. Vertically up and down. Obviously they went north, south, and then east, west. That's probably better, right? And this would be the east, west. This is like them walking. So what you're seeing there, that's them going north, south, going the width way. The image you're looking at is them going the kind of longer way, right? Where they're walking from the grave, the face of the grave, right? If that makes sense. So, so you'll see for the members, you'll see the other scan will be much wider because we're gonna see the other scans going the other directions. But pretty neat. That is the vault at approximately 4 feet. This little upside down horseshoe, hyperbola. Yeah, just like mowing the grass. But yeah, east, west, south, north. And yeah, that is one of the images. And that line there that I guess they put in there for me is kind of like right in the middle of the vault itself. And yeah, we'll go over more of it. But when you guys see the other images, you'll see kind of what we're talking about. And it's interesting. But again, even though there could be some anomalies, again, if it would be anything, it would be more likely evidence, again, Sebastian related evidence versus a body. But there is something that definitely at least needs further, a second opinion, however you want to explain, further examined. So that is very, very interesting with to get that back. Let's see here. I'm going to try to keep this shorter. So that's a great question, Kat. And since you're a member, if we do have the expert, she could probably maybe explain why we start to see it at 4 feet. Maybe that's where it starts to show up, the vault, right? And yeah, so again, keep in mind, this is not my area of expertise. I had a 40-minute phone call with where I kind of learned as much as I could, but again, this is not my area of expertise, but it is interesting for sure, especially when you see it. But all right, so to get this out of the way real quick, and then we'll get into the live. And again, it's not going to be, because I'm going to do a members live, we'll probably kind of keep this to hour tops or close to it. So just to recap on the spending, originally we raised $2,249.42. When you go to extract it, they ask, hey, can you, would you give us a tip, for the app? And I kind of felt at least giving them something. So I gave them 1%. So that was $22. 49 cents, which left us with $2,226.93. And so I'm just going to kind of go through this. So obviously the biggest expense would be the GPR. They are $1,100 for the week, weekdays. And depending on obviously the size of the job. And so that was our quote, $1,100. And as you can see, that was paid on the 12th there when we were doing it. They had a credit card reader there. So we paid them. Obviously, this message was in December 15th. We'd been speaking with them for, well, over a month before we ever did this. So that left us with $1,126.93. Then we have the canine handler who came out as well. Now, what was nice about this gentleman is he more or less did it for free. All he asked is, to pay for room and board, and then, basically gas money, because he had to kind of come from a fairly far distance. I forget how many hours, but he certainly wasn't close. And then food for the dog. And so basically it was $250 for that. And again, that was just for, room and board, more or less, and gas. He, was more or less doing it for free, if you really want to break it down. So, of course, we paid him on January 10th. That was a day before he came out. That way he could go and get the hotel that allows dogs. And then that left us with $876.93. And then today, I meant to send this earlier, but of course I've been sick. But I think we all agreed that we should tip him because, again, he never, more or less did it for free. We thought we'd send 100. I sent 101.93. As you can see, as you can't see, I lied. There you go. The reason I sent 101.93 is to even out the number that we have. So now with that tip, it leaves us with $775. Which again, if you guys recall, we really only wanted $1,400. $1,100 for the GPR and $250 for the canine handler, and then a $50 tip. That would have been $1,400, and that's why we had the goal. But you guys are amazing, and you guys went well over the goal. I did not realize it would not stop after we hit the goal, and could not shut it down fast enough. Last thing I just want to mention, about the funds before we get into today's live is we kind of talked about mentioning Silvers, because obviously him and a small team went out there for 2 nights, doing control tests and stuff like that. In my opinion, those tests were very important. We learned a lot, and I think a lot of people agreed that, maybe sending some gas money would be appropriate. And I think that's a great idea, because not only would you just say that's just for gas money, but one of the other team members had bought something that they really needed for what we were doing. And again, I'm not going to explain what that was. Maybe in the future I can, but for now I can't. But that was not cheap. And so, in my opinion, let me know in chat as a group. I think sending them $100, and Silvers can split that up, would be appropriate. So let me know what you guys feel in chat. But I think that would be, he's obviously gone out there so many times. But again, just for what he did for the control test and having, kind of 2 teams out there, I think it would be appropriate to, send him some gas money. Again, he's coming from Georgia or Atlanta, or let me say Georgia, because I can't remember if it's Atlanta. But anyway, so obviously, I think that would be appropriate. to send $100, and they can kind of split that up 50-50 or something like that. And I think that would be great. And then with what's left over, which is still a lot, we have the anniversary coming up, and we can kind of, future lives, we can kind of discuss, I'm sure there's a great way to utilize this anniversary with, this money. So, a lot of people agree. I think that would be awesome, because if I recall, I still have obviously the live of the fundraiser up, and after we hit the goal, a lot of people that donated did say, hey, gas, usually it said gas, food, and snacks or something like that in that order, and gas was always kind of up there, so I think that would be appropriate. All right, so that would take care of that. And again, I think there is definitely some good things we could do for the anniversary. And there might even be some stuff that we could use for if this anomalies with the GPR data, if the expert feels like it warrants further investigation, we could use, a little bit of that money to get whatever we need for that part of it. So I think it'll work. Yeah. It was really kind of more or less in that order. It was definitely I guess. Oh yeah, we will definitely do something for the mods, and again, that's not with those funds. I know they want to make it out that I'm spending these funds on the mods. No, there is a separate little pool that we have for the mods that maybe between late January and February we can get something in. If it kind of quiets down, we can figure something out, and if at the latest we'll do something March. So yeah, and we could do a poll on what people think. I'm not going to do a poll today, Sunseen, but I do think that's not a bad idea as well, to kind of poll and see what to do. And of course, I know, I don't know all the people, but obviously with the people that donated, I know probably at least half of them that are in here, and so I think definitely the ones that paid, should definitely obviously have the most say in it. Again, we did spend, what we originally had. That you guys are just so amazing that we ended up with much more than know what to do with. But yeah. All right. I know. I appreciate you guys. I know you. A lot of you trust me, and it means a lot. Of course, I wouldn't be doing this for 4 years if I wasn't transparent. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into today's live, and there's a couple of things I want to touch on, because obviously we've found, another vehicle, which we kind of went over in our last live on Thursday. But added to that, let's see here. Along with the car, I spoke with somebody I've had a relationship before who is former law enforcement. I'm not going to get into specifics, but we had a chat over the weekend. I don't know if it was Friday or something like that. But and I wish I would have wrote down more notes, and I'm gonna try because I wasn't feeling well, and I was like so kind of interested on some of the things that he was pointing out that he's seen in the lives, and obviously, getting insight from detectives, former detectives. They have certain ways of looking at things. It's so amazing, and anyway, he gave me some stuff to kind of mention, to kind of just kind of think about as far as, these patterns that we see on the 25th and 26th happening. And, all this, especially vehicles that we see on the 25th and 26th. And so anyway, I wrote down some of the stuff he said, and if it wasn't for getting the data recently, I was trying to prepare more stuff for this live to kind of like break it down and actually have like some PowerPoints of what he was talking about. So I'll probably have that Wednesday. But I will go over a few of them that he mentioned, but they are very interesting. Yeah, the funds, the Sebastian funds are for Sebastian only. People sent me Venmos and PayPals for the mods. And they did some super chats as well. That money is going towards the mods. All right. But anyway, moving on. You bring up a great point, Sleuthin, and you know what? I'm gonna skip forward here. A lot of you guys have seen all the activity. I just want to show you guys real quick, and then we'll jump back and I'll kind of go over some of the things that this former detective, and I'm hoping to have a special guest on at some point. Former law enforcement. I don't know when, or and I can't promise it will happen, but it's in the works. And oh my God, if we can have this person on, and I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to put any pressure on that person, but if we could, oh my God, it would be amazing. So here is, I just wanted to show you guys before we get back into all the activity, and I will go over some of the notes that I wrote down from this former detective that he found interesting. And again, I did not write down everything that he had said. I am still trying to recall everything. I may have another conversation so I can get refreshed on it. But here is a side-by-side. On the left is the 26th, the morning he went missing. On the right is the 27th. And of course, I've shown this before. I mean, it almost looks like daytime versus nighttime, right? And this is literally, this is 2 a.m. and this is 3 a.m. But I promise you, if I pulled up 3 a.m., I don't know why I didn't grab the 3 a.m. on the 26th. But as you can see, I mean, I can see the banks and the hills, and I'll just kind of play this for a minute. But I just wanted to show you, because I told you guys I would do that. Just show you guys that there's nothing going on other nights. So just in case if anybody's wondering, like, well, maybe this is a normal occurrence, I'm going to show you guys here just a small sample that nothing is, it is dead. Other than the fact that the 27th and 28th, you kind of have you had the storm kind of roll in, rain, wind, and so the lights flicker. But again, it's just the lights, the static lights that we see. You'll notice that they flicker a lot more because obviously there's so many trees and branches between them. How do you describe? Maybe you are you talking about somebody else? You are subscribed. You're definitely a member. Oh, is this recent? Not to get sidetracked. Maybe I'll have to, again, I've been out, so. Is there some quotes, if there's some quotes, Scranton or somebody else, about anything that's interesting coming up, let me know. Oh, I appreciate it, Zoo Blues. So anyway, let me play this, not to get sidetracked, but. So here is, again, a side-by-side. Again, this is more or less the same time, just 2 different days. And it's just amazing. Again, you can kind of see the embankment to the construction site. But it's just so much darker because remember, it was more or less a full moon. And then, of course, and it was wasn't very cloudy, obviously. The morning he went missing versus the 26th or the 27th and 28th. But you're going to watch the timer here in just a second. And this is the same stuff. And it's being sped up here. But so that Columbrium, this is my North Star that I always call it. That Columbrium is approximately right here. And so I pulled up 2 different times, when we'd see the Columbrium light up. And I just want to show you guys as we just kind of scan forward here. There is nothing going on. This is 3:30 in the morning on the 27th. So this would be day 2. Nothing going on. And then I got 3:44 to about 3:49, which is when the Columbrium lights up on the 26th. And there is nothing. And then here we have the 28th, so day 3. 3:20. As you can see, the time is being sped up. Columbrium would be somewhere about here. We typically see vehicles here or here. And then, of course, on the 25th, we'd see them right up here. And again, as I fast forward, other than, the lights that we typically see, the headlights, street lights, whatever they are, they, for the most part, flicker because of the branches. But, again, just a small sample. But clearly nothing going on. So, and then, we go back to the
calling for the sound. Is there not be
we go back to the 25th. We have, the Columbrium, the vehicles, and all of that going on.
around the loop.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that's not a bad question. The Morse code thing, I don't see anything that resembles Morse code, and again, it would be even hard to say 100% one way or another if they were flashing, only because we're looking through all these different tree lines with the branches. Even though the 26th and the 25th, it's not as windy, there's still, there's still some movement. And so, again, but I do believe that there is, and I'm going to now go into what the law enforcement agency brought up here in just a second. So hold surveillance close to a year. Mob sees true colors we've known. Having Chris break down penny by penny. We hear FBI missing child. Enough, everyone. Number one, better ruin Sebastian's anniversary. Oh, no one better ruin. Oh, no one. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, no. Hopefully we'll do some. We'll do. Put our heads together and come up with something great. And we really get the word out with what we have left over. But thank you, Rachel. Huge supporter. I really appreciate that, Rachel, so much. God bless you. And I see there's some frustration in there, and I think a lot of us feel that. Yeah, yeah, it's nonsense. The bullying, it's just such a weird case. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would be fun to have a guest on. I know I don't do that much. Oh, has that been? Oh, I didn't even know that. Do we know?
What do you see now?
During the control tests,
Sandy, I know you're
and others tried.
Pretty trustworthy. Do we know that? Could somebody else verify that? I do trust you. I'm just saying. Okay, there's more people. Okay, awesome. Again, I've been out for the last 4 days, 3 or 4 days, so I've probably missed some stuff. That's awesome. So, maybe we can capitalize on that in some way. Okay. He put out new footage. Do we know what the footage is? Like where it's at? Does anybody know where that footage is? New search footage. Is this the search footage that happened a year ago? Oh, okay. Got it, the flyer. Oh, no shit. He's come. Okay, so this is where we go back into La La Land and like well, it completely breaks down their whole thing here. So he's back with these construction site, and I've heard a little bit about his alleged report. Again, I don't know. Again, obviously, I can't trust him as far as I could throw him. Right, as you know, I can only go off what he has done in the past. Right, and the guy has clearly been deceitful. So, and I'm sure people. His little fan base will somehow twist that. But, I don't know how many times I've had to debunk some of this nonsense. Him with the damn teenager and the cat. To me, that's just downright embarrassing. But this is where it's just crazy. So he's coming back allegedly to search the construction zone, right? Okay. I know I played this before, but this just breaks me up every time because for those that don't know, remember, SF is more or less an extension of the Stink Feet, right? He was hired by them. He admitted that last year, right? And they believe, he ended up in the construction zone and somehow disappeared. I don't know what the theory is, what happens after he gets to the construction zone. Obviously, I've looked and looked. I don't see him at all. Believe me, I'm sure I'd get tons of views if I could, point out a little figure walking, but there's nobody. But anyway, just for anybody that doesn't know, this is where kind of Max the dog went into. And this is kind of the area that, SF and whatever kind of think that he may have ended up. Maybe he was down in there. Maybe he slept in one of the homes, or I don't know, got covered in pavement or cement or concrete, and they're pouring a driveway. God knows, or he went in a dumpster. I don't know. Anyway, the crazy thing is what I just showed you is the dog that came at 8:30, and that was a scent-specific dog. And it again, I don't have. Next time I'll do the Max one so I can show you guys the difference. But you can see Max where he cuts down this embankment, and down this embankment is where the square. Oops. Is where that square retention pond is at. So we have the square one here, where's the first dog that came out. Remember, he was only dropped off right here, so he just kind of wandered and went right in. That dog, that 8:30 dog, he started at the home. I think he went up this street, actually, went up Stafford, and then cut over, and then went up Killen, and then cut over. But the difference is he did not go to this pond. He took this little highway that the constructions, which actually turned into a street. I think it's Willow Bend. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, it is hard to see. You can see him once in a while. But that is the other dog, the scent-specific dog, and that is the one that goes towards the corner retention pond, which just so happens to border the cemetery. So again, I know I bring this up, but it boggles my mind because as far as I know, they think this whole cemetery thing, as far as my impression, is they think this is nonsense and it's a joke. But there's all this activity going on. There's so much activity. I'm still discovering it. I mean, it's been it feels like 2 months now. There's still more stuff to be discovered in this footage. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But the biggest thing is you have some kind of pattern between the 25th and 26th where, in my opinion, and a former expert, let me go back to this, feels
minutes later
that this was some kind of practice run on the 25th, and they executed whatever, maybe more likely a handoff of Sebastian. But again, you have everything that's done on the 25th happen almost the same exact way on the 26th, just the timing. And this is what's interesting that the professional brought up, or the former detective brought up, and I'll explain here in a minute, about the slight time difference between what happened on the 25th and 26th. But it's very, very interesting. Okay, interesting. So it looks like apparently they may be getting a storm, so SF search may be pushed back. Interesting. Anyway, sorry, just looking at messages. Okay. Somebody say 225 for Silvers. I mean, I honestly, that guy deserves so much, I know he would say no because that's the kind of person he is. Because, he's just that kind of person. But, yeah, I think at least 100 would be, a good happy medium. And plus, yeah, not to get sidetracked. Kiki, good to see you. In my opinion, SFE is pushing exactly verbatim what Dispatch says, laugh out loud on purpose. Yeah, I agree. The dogs, they've never kind of lifted off of that. Yeah, I can tell you, Miriam, after what we did with the GPR, and, I've kind of mentioned this before, after what happened there were some things that we learned. And again, and eventually, it'll be one day I can mention what we learned. But I could tell you that this right now, my opinion, is up there on the leads as far as like evidentiary value of him possibly being handed off or some kind of nefarious activity that relates to Sebastian Rogers' case. Okay, I am going to quickly just catch up on chat, chat stuff, and then I'm going to go over what the law enforcement guy kind of told me, and it's very fascinating. Jerry Satterfield, thank you so much for coming a member. It'll be an interesting members live. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it here. We'll start it here in about 30 minutes or so. Sassy, gifting 5 Mob Crew memberships. Thank you so much. God bless you, Sassy, for everything you do. We have TGS Wife 2004. Thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless you. The Blue Third. Thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless. We got Kim with the $10 donation. Thank you so much, Kim. We got Bubbly Beth. I'm sorry. Bubbly Beth. Beth. Say that 10 times fast. Supporting the channel. Thank you so much, Beth. Go down. There we go. Tay also becoming a member. Rusty Pipes also becoming a member. Thank you, Tay and Pipes. And we have Angel Wings. Chris, you are the best. Member for 7 months. Thank you so much, Angel Wings. It means the world. Again, I would be nothing without you guys. I think that 3-hour phone call is definitely relevant in some way to his disappearance, in my opinion. Okay, so let me break down some of the things that the the former detective pointed out to me, and these are the big ones that just stuck out in my mind from the conversation a couple days ago. And then I'll talk about the new car in case if you missed my show on Thursday. We did find a new car. So there's, at the very least, think about this, is at the very least there's 2 cars leaving the cemetery on the 26th alone. The morning he went missing, there's at least 2 vehicles leaving minutes apart at the cemetery, and it appears there's a 3rd vehicle leaving from the school. But without a question, there are 2 vehicles in the cemetery leaving on the 26th. It is big. Okay. And then, of course, we have this, the scout, as I call it, that we've been also looking into, which is kind of located up on this ridge here, which is very fascinating. But this is that car I discovered. Notice it's 401. And the thing about the entrance and exit of the church into the cemetery, because one way in, one way out, is that we have 2 cameras that capture part of the entrance and exit. So any of the ones that are captured on one are seen on the other. And yeah, but now we have a car leaving at 401. We see a vehicle leave at 349, which appears to be at the school. Unless somehow I'm mixing it up with it being in the cemetery, then that means there's 3 vehicles in the cemetery. Again, that would be the only thing I would have wrong. A vehicle leaving at 353. And now seeing this vehicle, which was leaving at 401. And as I cut to the end here, and then we'll get into the detective part. But here it is again on one camera. Oops, let me back up a little bit. It's at 26. So here it is. Right there. And this is that's kind of where the church is at. And so this is kind of that higher ground. All right, let me just get it. This is a vehicle seen about somewhere about here, because this 3D is not the best. Not even really 3D, to be honest. But this area raises up. And then, of course, you can see here, you can see how it goes flat down there. Anyway, the reason why I mentioned that, and that is kind of the church area, and that is the bleachers. And then you see a car kind of, and again, the camera isn't tilted, so the reason why I have it up like that is because clearly the lights go this way. They're not level. So they're clearly going up an incline. But what's interesting is here's from the other camera. And you will see it here in just a minute. Here's the negative. There it is right there. And at 401, you'll see it there. And you'll see it on this light up really well. Right there. And it stays lit for a bit right here. And again, that's big because that was about a week ago a week ago at best that I found this one. And it's one thing to just find a light or something, but to actually see a vehicle and it's leaving, this one, in my opinion, is big because Now, that is definitely two vehicles leaving the cemetery minutes apart from each other. And so, and what's very interesting is, so let me put this up here for a second. So what we have, as far as we know, and the only thing that I could have wrong is that this vehicle could be just here, and we could have three vehicles leaving the cemetery. But I don't know. There's a couple of variables, and I've kind of shown it before, where there's certain cars that block a certain light and where others don't. So makes me think that one is at the school while others are at the cemetery. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So what paper is saying is you have two. I'm assuming this is what you're saying, right? Is you have two, but this is one's an inlet, one's an outlet. But once you get into here, this is why I'm really saying one in and one out, is because once you get past the church, this is it, right? Like once yeah, there could be one inlet, one outlet, assuming this is what you're talking about. And then, of course, you have the private drive where there's a gate, and that would be the only other entrance / exit, if that's what you mean, paper. But I just count it as one because, once you funnel in, I mean, really, once you're past here, you just have one entrance and exit. And I know I can see the vehicles here, if they're entering or exiting, if that makes sense. That's why I'm saying, like, with the footage, the views that I have, it literally narrows it down to one entrance, one entrance exit from the south and one entrance exit to the north. But again, that one's a private one, which even makes it all more suspicious. So I'm going to go over a couple of things that law enforcement, this detective brought up, and I found them super interesting. So I'm trying to find a spot that would be a good spot to bring this up. Probably one of these overlays, top-down views that I did. Okay, so this is the 26. Okay, 1 second, because this is interesting. 53, 20 seconds. And again, in my next live, I'm gonna have a better. Oh wow, I almost nailed that perfectly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So one of the things I've been doing, and this is the very, very interesting part, and it also adds to the nefarious side of things, is on the 25th, there are, and I have been looking every day that I'm available before I do these lives. I always spend at least 30 minutes to an hour, no joke, looking at the entrance exits on the 25th and the 26th, mainly the 25th, but I still do both to see if I can see any of these vehicles, because both on the 25th and 26th, even though we can see at least 2 vehicles leaving on the 26th, not a single one can be seen entering. And I mean, I've gone back hours and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. And remember, there's 2 cameras facing this, sole entrance exit right here. And nothing. Nothing on the 25th, nothing on the 26th. Not to say it's not implausible that they couldn't have gotten in and maybe they drove with their headlights off. It's certainly possible. But I did, again, 2 cameras and nothing. And then you add in the fact that the 25th, not only is there no cars seen entering, and we know there's definitely, just like on the 26th, we know there's 2 vehicles on the 26th in the cemetery, because we see them leave. And we know there's 2 different vehicles on the 25th, because we can tell because of the level of the headlights that there's 2 different vehicles, like, a car and a truck. So we know there's at least 2 vehicles on both days, just in the cemetery alone. But it appears that they're likely entering. I don't know, I can't say 100%, but likely entering from the private gate, which is, again, odd. Why would you go out of your way to do that? And then, so that's the first thing. Again, I still looking. But 25th, it's so weird, just nothing. And then the 20th, and then the night that he goes missing, we have, again, no sign of them entering, but it's interesting that we do see them leave out the exit, which is, again, is interesting. So the other thing that he brought up, which was very fascinating, is the Columbrium. On the 25th, it is more or less lit up, and they're both, it's almost kind of like a minute off, but I mean, you could pretty much just kind of like round it off. Both lit up for 6 minutes each on both the 25th and 26th, the Columbrium here. The only difference is on the 25th, the night before he went missing, it starts at 3:23, more or less, and it ends at 3:29. On the 26th, more or less, it starts at 3:43 and ends at 3:49. So almost same exact time, just different 20 minutes apart. But this is what's interesting. So obviously it's a 20-minute difference, because on the 25th it started at 3:23, while this one on the night that he went missing started at 3:43. It's a difference of 20 minutes. And if you go back, and one of the things he mentioned was, if you add in All right, guys, 1 second. I wish I had time to. Yep, there it is. If I would have had time to, fully put this, put his stuff together in like a presentation, kind of write everything I'm looking at written down here and put it up in order. It would have been much easier to have all the time frames. So I will have that. But if you think about it, we believe that whatever took place happened around 3:10 a.m. and say that this event, even though I think it probably only took maybe 5 to 7 minutes tops. Actually, scratch that. No, I think it took up to about 9 minutes. If I recall, I'll have to go back to it. 7 to 9 minutes. But if you just average that to 10 minutes, starts at 3:10, again, allegedly, the 3 a.m. lights, and you ended at 3:20. Well, there is your 20-minute difference between February 25th, starting at 3:23, and now with them doing this, if this was all connected, you have a 20-minute time gap where on the night he goes missing, instead of it repeating itself, again, it's starting at 3:23, because if this is related, you put that puzzle piece in front, now you got a little 20-minute, gap or 20-minute incident that happens first that now pushes their alleged pre-run that happened on the 25th now 20 minutes behind. And you know what? It kind of fits, if that makes sense. And I'll make something for Wednesday, because the way he put that out, and the way I kind of envisioned it, that was kind of interesting. I mean, I know I kind of pointed that out, where I kind of did this. The suspicious flashlights in Rogers' neighborhood are seen here in this overhead view. This overlay here, with everything connecting to each other. Oops. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. He mentioned the 20 minutes. Then this one's very interesting. Now think about this, and this one I kind of overlooked. I mean, I've thought about it, but not in the way he's kind of mentioning. Here's another way to look at it. The 25th, we know that we have at least 2 to 3 vehicles, right? 2 vehicles in the cemetery, 1 possibly at the church, at the school, just on the 25th alone. Then, on the 26th, we know we definitely have 3 vehicles, for sure. I mean, I think we can say pretty much for sure there's most likely 3 vehicles on both days. But here's the interesting part. But just in case, definitely 2 vehicles in the cemetery, no matter what, on the 25th and 26th. And then a potential extra one at the school on both days. So that is up to 3 to 6 vehicles. How did he put it? So if you combine those 2 days, you have up to 6 vehicles. Now, if they are the same vehicles, the 25th, 26th, then obviously that's either 2 or 3 vehicles if they're all the same. But if you think about it, that is 6 times, up to 6 times, that's how I think he put it, up to 6 times that you have vehicles, definitely on the 26th, where you have at least 2 to 3 coming out on this road that are potential witnesses, right? Let's say if they had nothing to do with the case at all, it was just another way to look at it, right? You have potentially up to 6 witnesses between the 25th and 26th unless it's the same vehicles, then obviously that changes. And that's only assuming there's just a driver, right? So what he's basically getting at is you have up to at least 6 witnesses between those 2 days, with definitely more cameras at the church, and there is a camera. It's hard to see here. There is a camera at the fire station right here. It does appear to look like it does overlook part of, I'm sure it's probably, a decent camera. It definitely looks like it looks, would have at least if it's wide angle, it'd probably capture both entrances. But again, if this had nothing to do with the case, right, you'd have up to 6 people that were around the time that Sebastian went missing of witnesses, right? So another way to think about it is he mentioned how we had the case with those that are familiar with Nova Scotia, with Lily and Jack. And I don't know if you remember, but they put out a thing on Facebook or whatever. They put it, or maybe even the news, I think, as well, that they were asking for anybody that had footage. I apologize if you can hear that. If you can't, that's great. It's a car alarm that never fails to go off. Sorry. If you guys can't hear it, then you're probably like, what's he doing? There's a car alarm going off. It's the same car. It goes off like 5 times a day, and it just drives me nuts. Okay, there we go. I can think now. But you know how they asked for anybody that was in that area that could be, that any homes in that area on this street would have surveillance, between these hours, right? This time frame. And also anybody that may have dash cam, because obviously we have Uber drivers and other things. And then he brought up the other point that I didn't even think about is, you guys know that we covered all those cars that are going up and down. Well, not a bunch, but there's cars going up and down on the 25th, 26th, 27th, that we don't know if it's an Uber driver or whatever. What if they have dash cam, right? Has anybody interviewed them? So he brought on some great questions as far as like, again, if these weren't suspects, you have like all these witnesses that, could have been reached out to and could have been probably handled better. I'd understand, if it was early days and you had a vehicle that, you didn't want out there because you're afraid that they may get rid of it or do something with it. But, again, we're 2 years later, but still, I think that would have been beneficial for them to done something like they did with the Nova Scotia case with Lily and Jack. Yeah, I think a lot of them do just for insurance purposes and for their safety as well. So yeah. Yes, Brendan, exactly. Yeah, and he brought, that was a big point he talked about. I'm like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. He had kind of like the math, and I probably didn't write everything down properly, but just on the vehicles that he's seen me kind of put out. But it seems to be 2 to 3 vehicles, definitely 2 vehicles in the cemetery, no matter where you cut it, on the 25th and 26th, and then likely another vehicle possibly at the school on both days as well. So again, you have up to potentially 6 vehicles. And again, assuming if they had nothing to do, this had nothing to do with Sebastian, you have 6 witnesses, potentially up to 6 witnesses. And again, that's just if they're drivers, let alone if they had passengers. There's so much, that they could have possibly seen.
Suspicious flashlights in Rogers' neighborhood are seen along with an unknown vehicle doing a three-point turn. Not long after, activity at the cemetery begins to happen, where we see the memorial light up again for 6 minutes. During this same time, we then see a vehicle at the
it's like one car in particular, not to get sidetracked, and it just goes off like 5+ times a day. I don't know. It drives me nuts. Anyway, because it's like right by my window. Anyway. Yeah, no one come forward. Yeah, and again, is it something, I hate to poop on law enforcement, but did they really mess up by not doing something like this earlier? But there's always, a chance for them to redeem themselves. I really think, what would be great is for them to come forward, say, it doesn't mean they have to explain the 3 a.m. lights video, but it'd be nice for them to just come forward and say, look, we don't think it's trash trucks. We don't know what it is. And, and leave that alone, right? And maybe just a little bit of transparency, right? Maybe to get, a little bit of favor back from the community, right? Just in case if any of you agencies are watching, I don't think that would hurt to have a little bit of transparency. I mean, 2 years later, I don't know, what's going to help to not put out something.
I was able to figure out which vehicle was at the cemetery and which vehicle was at the school. I did this by
Kiki, that's such a great question because, again, that's funny you mentioned that too, or interesting, I should say, is I was kind of noticing that the cameras at the school here, can I go up here? No? Oh, maybe I need to use this one. Hold on one second. But there's supposed to be, oops. So obviously, we have all this activity going on, but what's interesting is I think there's at least 1 or 2 cameras here. At least one for sure. And if it's pointed at all in this direction, or even in this direction, but it'd be nice if it was pointing, it would, along with the cameras that are at the church, of course, should be closer. But again, every camera is going to have its advantage and disadvantages. And it would be nice to, I'm sure if it does overlook the cemetery at all, it would have picked up that activity. Clearly, it would be much closer. All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do this for years. I mean, I like that. Yeah, what troll? Yeah, we got the best mods. Anyway, but there's going to be more. I'll go over and I'll break it down. I'll have it up on the screen and show you guys. Because I kind of visualized what he was kind of talking about. And he also mentioned the scout as well. And I'll probably save that for Wednesday. But this scout, this really piqued his interest. And he had a lot of interesting insight about this. We call the scout because of the position of where they're at approximately. And the fact that they're obviously there on the 25th and 26th. Yeah, he had some interesting thoughts on that as well. So I'll probably save that for Wednesday. So for the members, we are going to have a members live. I'll start it at 7:30 my time, so 9:30 Eastern time. We'll wrap up. I'm sorry I didn't have a more cohesive live show. I got the data. If you missed earlier, I'll just show you guys. Oh, where is it? There it is. So we got the actual images back from the GPR data. And if you missed it earlier, now again, just want to emphasize that although those guys that went out and did it, obviously they're experts, right? But something that is more shallower, right, that's buried, is harder to see than something that's deeper. And I know, like, in theory, like layman brains would think it would be the opposite. You would think something shallower would be easier to see versus something that's deeper. But it is not. So anyway, but there is what appears to be a couple anomalies in the data. Now, again, if it was anything Sebastian related, it would likely be more like evidence versus a body. So please do not, if I say anomaly, don't think, oh, he's buried on top. But there is something there. It could be a rock. Some other things. We have our expert here, Carolyn, on her secret. She's going to be in. She'll help us. But yeah, I'll show you guys the data that actually has the anomalies and kind of talk about, why I'd lean more towards if there was something Sebastian related, it would be more maybe like evidence related than a body. But it is something that warrants definitely more investigation for sure. So, Mitty, thanks to all that search for Sebastian. I appreciate that. Thank you. God bless. And let me make sure I caught up on chat. And I didn't see any Venmos, but sometimes I don't get them right away. So just in case, thank you in advance. And I always thank those people in the next live. But just in case, if you did do a Venmo or PayPal, thank you. And I will address it the next live. Shining Star gifted 5 Mob Crew memberships. Thank you so much, Shining. Jeanette Clifton, I hope I got that right. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. Nice Marie, thank you so much for your support. God bless you. Bear Honey, I know probably one of these are maybe the troll. I'm not saying you, Bear Honey, but I don't know which one was the troll. I missed it. We got Mama. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the 7 months. Sassy, another membership. That's awesome, Sassy. Thank you so much. And of course, if you can, thank the people that gifted those memberships. Margaret, thank you so much for the membership support. Cooper, good to see you. He's never forgot that you are amazing. We will find Sebastian together. Or that first part's different, but it might have been something. But thank you, Cooper. I appreciate that so much for the love and support, Cooper. Big supporter of the channel. I appreciate that so much. God bless you. So, all right, guys. I will do a pet outro, and then members will start about 5 minutes. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting live. And then we'll talk a little bit about the stuff in a future live for those non-members. So don't think we won't, talk about it in a live. But we will touch on it eventually again during a regular live. So with that, guys, thank you to everyone coming in. God bless you guys. And for those that are staying, I will actually, I'll try to start up a live show so I can get the link to you guys. So don't go anywhere. I'll put the link in the channel. So I'll play the pet outro. I may just do two pet outros if I can't get it set up fast enough. So with that, God bless. And we'll see the members here in just a minute.
I got you in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, now you'll beg me please. Hey, now I stay away. You were never meant to save me. Now I stay away. I'll hear you say you're sorry.